In 2020, my father died. April 2020 to be exact. He was sick back in 2017, I'm thinking, right after the storms. He got sick. 2018, I spent time going to back and forth to the hospitals in Florida. I even vlogged about it. So if you want to see the video of that vlog, go down below. It's actually I think it's one of my best vlogs that I've ever done. But anyway, just the storytelling, the editing, and I reference it a lot when I want to relive and remember my dad. So in 2018, I went back and forth with him because he was going back and forth to the hospital in Florida. He got better. The end of 2018, I'm thinking, him, my mom, my husband, myself, and my son went on a cruise, and it was magical. After the cruise, we rented a townhouse and spent a couple weeks in Florida together, and it was the best thing ever. And the last time I saw my dad alive in person was when I woke up and was driving him and my mom to the airport. So he was sitting in the passenger seat next to me, talking to me. He said some things, I won't ever forget them, because literally when he got out of the car, I never saw him again. Fast forward 2019, he started getting sick again. And by the time 2020 rolled around, he was getting to the point where I was like, okay, I have to go home again because he's going in the wrong direction. And I was in Wisconsin visiting my friend and looking for flights. Also trying to find somebody while in Wisconsin to go to the hospital and donate blood for him in the British Virgin Islands. And I know there are people on my Facebook page specifically who told me they went to the hospital in the British Virgin Islands and donated blood. I feel myself tearing up right now just thinking about it, girl. Anyway, whew. So I'm in Wisconsin trying to use my platform to help my father, who is heading in the wrong direction. I'm being told by my brother that it's not looking good. You need to come home. And we're kind of in this pre-pandemic, beginning of the pandemic thing. So we're all kind of like not sure what's going on. It hasn't started happening. Nothing's shut down yet, but we're all trying to like wash our hands more and sanitize more. I mean, I remember when I went to Wisconsin, I had sanitizer and I had gloves. I did not have masks because the masks were not a thing at that point. This was like March of 2020. And yeah, I was trying to look for flights to go home to the Virgin Islands, because as soon as I got back from Wisconsin, I was about to turn around and hit the Virgin Islands and see my father. And what happened was, driving back down from Wisconsin, I got a call from my husband that they had closed all the schools. And then they closed all the things. Okay, so it was like the second week of March, I'm guessing. They closed everything, and that's when everything shut down. Everything also included the borders for the British Virgin Islands, where my father was now at home sick and then eventually in the hospital sick. So Roshini, who was now back in Missouri, was not able to go visit him. I was not allowed to enter the British Virgin Islands because the pandemic had just popped off, and y'all remember how that was. And in that time frame, I got to talk to my dad a few times on the phone. He started going still in the wrong direction. Well, not the wrong direction, because God's in control, but in a direction I didn't want at the time, right? Which is to be not here. And eventually he ended up in the hospital. Thank God, one of my cousins was able to allow me to speak to him one more time in the hospital on her phone. And then in April, he passed away. And his funeral was at the beginning of May. It was the day before my birthday, I think. And the reason that happened is just they opened the borders, or they lifted the pandemic stuff for 2 seconds, and we like slid in and had my dad's funeral socially distanced. I believe the first socially distanced funeral in the British Virgin Islands, and the first one where they streamed it online. And they streamed it online specifically because I was still in Missouri, so I had to watch my dad's funeral on the internet. It was either Facebook or YouTube. And then one of my cousins was so gracious enough to live stream on Facebook from the burial grounds. I could see. And I'm looking at the time because this is taking longer, but and you guys, currently right now, it is November of 2021. So it is a year and a half later. You guys are probably going to be watching this particular video in 2022 because the way these Monday through Friday vlogs and my piece is set up, that's just where we are. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, links to the explanation of that down below. And I haven't been home. Why have you not been home, Roshini? We are in the middle of a pandemonium still. Yes, a lot of people are being vaccinated. Yes, people are going back to, you know, certain versions of life. People are traveling more and all that. But all of the chaos of like the ever-changing rules about how to get in the US Virgin Islands, how to get into the British Virgin Islands, how to travel in the United States, just all the things. And then I don't know if you heard me say my father died. So I was grieving, and I was working my day job, and I was still putting up videos for you guys. And I was still a mom to a son with special needs. You know, like yesterday we spent the entire day at the hospital. This is my normal life. We went to the hospital with my son. We had checkups with 3 different specialties. This is what we do. I have another medical appointment for him right after Thanksgiving, and I have another hospital situation. We got to go have a procedure done in December. So this is like what's happening with me, and there are other things I don't share with y'all. Okay, all right. And so all of that kind of comes together, and I have not been home. So this is what I was telling my cousins, and I'm gonna tell you guys because this was the point of the whole video. Hopefully me sharing this kind of stuff will bless somebody, and it'll help somebody see how grief is, how it is like this malleable kind of floating experience where it's complex and unique to you like a snowflake, and you need to honor and guard yourself and do what's good for you. So anyway, the brief version of what I told my cousins was, 1, I feel like I have developed an anxiety response to going home to the Virgin Islands because 2, I have an anxiety response now to traveling. I already didn't love traveling as it was. When my son has all his special needs stuff and I had to travel with all of that stuff, it upped the ante on the travel stuff. And then of course, pandemic, right? People be getting sick. And my son is still not vaccinated at this point. So we're still being very cautious because we have to make different decisions than everyone else as usual. Like this is just my life. We always have to make different decisions, even pre-pandemic. Okay, when you have a son that has special needs, you got to make different decisions than the general population. Okay, so all of that raised my anxiety about going home to the Virgin Islands. And even though right now in November of 2021, it is more viable for me to leave, pick up, get a plane ticket and go home even on my own, I'm still kind of freaked out. And I had to explore that, you guys. And I realized that part of that freaked out is when I go back to the Virgin Islands, I will have to be confronted physically with the fact that my father is not here. Like the man actually died, like died for real. Like in the physical form, he has left the building. Okay. And I have the unique experience of that not being something I've had to actually physically confront. So like, I don't know what it's like to land in the St. Thomas airport and not have Texas Pit Barbecue waiting for me and a Vita Malt, because that's what my dad did. That's what he did. I don't know what it's like to show up and, you know, in Tortola and not have a box of fruit, a 6-pack of Vita Malt in the fridge, some pate from Crandall's or whatever, waiting on me, because that's what he did. I don't know what it's like to turn the corner at my parents' business in the car and not see my dad sitting outside. I just, whew, just the thought. Oh, Jesus. Keep me near the cross, Jesus. And just the thought of that, because I remember, what time is it? Okay, I gotta go. I remember being overwhelmed years ago, leaving him and seeing him standing there, and this realization, I'm talking about 20 years ago, this realization that one day, oh, he's not going to be standing there, and I have a finite amount of times left to see him. This was like 20 years ago I had this thought. And you guys, that day has come. And so I gotta go because I gotta go do some stuff before I get my son back on virtual school. I had other things to say, so I might have to come back and finish this video later. But yeah, I'll be back. Yeah, I'll be back. Oh, Jesus. Hey you guys, it's Roshini, and it is hours later, as you can tell, hopefully by the lighting. I don't even know what time it is, probably 6 something p.m. and I am just sitting back down to finish this video. I'm about to start my part-time job. I have cookies. They're almost done though. I have tea, honey turmeric something from Yogi. I have a big container of water with electrolytes. I have everything I need, okay, to sit here and do what I need to do. But before I do that, I want to finish the video. So what I was saying was, I'm not 100% sure where I left off. I could probably rewatch it, but I'm not going to because I got stuff to do. Time is of the essence. Anxiety response with respect to going home. Because I have not been home in probably 5 years now, I'm guessing. And I think the last time I was home was for someone's funeral. So it might be 4 years because of the funeral that I went to before the storms and everything. And maybe 5 years was the last time I was home for like a family trip. And I actually vlogged all of that. So if you want to see that, I'll put links to those down below. So yeah, I haven't been home for like a pleasant reason in 5 years. And this is the longest I've ever in my entire life been away from the Virgin Islands. And then of course, this first time I go home, I'm going home specifically only to mourn. I'm not going home with any other agenda. I have to give myself that grace and honor the fact that I have to grieve my father in this very unique way. And I'm going to go home and give myself the opportunity to be nothing else except a daughter acclimating herself to this new physical reality, and a daughter grieving, and a daughter who needs to mourn her dad in a way that I feel is necessary for me to do it well and come out intact on the other side and to honor him. Oh, I did a video, you guys, a video honoring my dad. It's a long story. It took me like over a year to make that happen. I'll put a link to it down below. If you like Caribbean music, if you like soca and that kind of thing, that's for you because he was a musician. So the last thing I want to say is, one, I've developed this anxiety response. I realize that I haven't been home, and I need support when I go. So not only am I making sure that I am having a deja vu right now. This is weird. What's going on? It's still happening. Okay. Not only am I going to make sure that when I go home, there is no agenda beyond the agenda of me and grieving my father, but I'm also going to make sure that I am surrounded by a support system emotionally, especially that I need, the kind of support system that I need for this very, very traumatic and emotional experience. That's gonna look like letting people know that I need their support before I get there, which I have already. I've already spoken to like family members and been like, you gonna be the one, okay? Like if I pitch down and roll along the hill screaming, I'm gonna need somebody to be able to pick me up and get me back in the car. So it's gonna have to be you. Okay, I've already started having those conversations, and I'm even considering like bringing my support system with me. Okay, now the way the finances are set up, I don't have friends like that where I could just be like, hey, you want to spend a lot of money on a plane ticket and come to the Virgin Islands with me? But if God is blessing, listen, if I had the money to do it, if I could pay for somebody to go with me, I already know who I'm paying for. And I already got in my brain who would go. And it wouldn't even be a burden on them. All they would have to do is be there for me. But you know, it's not set up that way right now. But if God blesses, hello, if God blesses, if you want to support your girl, I'll put a link down below on the screen. By all means, bless me. Okay, so I could go home and do this thing right. But yeah, I might have to import my own support system. So I've told the on-island support systems to pray and prepare, and I might have to come with my own support system, because how am I going to get through the airports? I mean, just the idea of landing in St. Thomas and knowing that my father is not there. He's not going to send no Texas pit for me. I'm not going to see him. It ain't going to be no messages. Look. I just, how God's gonna have to hold me on that one. So anyway, that's basically what this video is about. It's about acknowledging and speaking out loud that I have an anxiety response to going home to the Virgin Islands. If you follow me on the internet, especially my stories, you listen, you can tell I'm homesick. I just post home all day, all night. Miss Marianne. Anyway, sorry. And yet I haven't gone. And that's why. That's a huge reason of why. I mean, also clearly there's other things like time. I'm helping my son with virtual school, blah, 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 blah. But it's getting to the point where I'm like, I have to make this step. This first step has to happen so that I can free myself to move more freely, specifically in going home to the Virgin Islands again, and not be bracing myself for the impact of this huge emotional experience. And I need to like do it. So anyway, let me know if any of this helped you, sounds familiar to you, if you've ever gone through anything like this. It would really be helpful to read anything in the comments. You guys always are so, I just have like a really great group of people that follow me. Like, y'all vibe is good. Like every once in a while, you get some people in there, but for the most part, y'all really bless me. Inbox, you guys bless me, and just even in the comments. So let me know. Because grief, is a complex thing, and a lot of us have been going through it, specifically in the past year and a half because of the planetarium. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Leave your questions and comments below, because you never know, they may become the next video. Until that next video, be well, be encouraged. You know what? Somebody told me, you see this thing behind me? That is a pineapple top. One of my supporters on Patreon said that if I hold this mug up right below it, it's a pineapple. Girl, you are right. Oh my God. Here's a pineapple.